It's late, and your phone is right there. You feel the pull, you see the time, and you tell yourself, if I just stay disciplined and try harder, I shouldn't have to change my environment to stick to my habits. Your habits fail because you keep worshiping discipline over design. You call that maturity. Most of the time it's self-protection, because changing the environment feels like admitting you're weaker than other people. And here's the contradiction. The reasonable move to try harder today is what makes you less consistent next week. So why does trying harder to be disciplined make your habits less stable over time? And what actually changes the decision in the first seconds, without turning your life into a rigid system? You can follow a plan for a few days, then one normal day happens and you tell yourself you just need to be more disciplined. Phone within reach at night is a normal day. You're tired, you mean to sleep, and you still just check one thing. The relief is instant because you didn't have to face empty space. The cost shows up later. You trained your night to start with a cue you don't control. Comfort now. A worse start tomorrow. Snacks visible on the counter is a normal day. You walk past, you grab something without deciding, and you promise you'll make up for it later. The relief is, you don't have to manage stress or boredom right then. The cost isn't the snack. The cost is that your kitchen keeps making the first move for you. Mornings with nothing staged is a normal day. Clothes are buried, the bottle is empty, the mat is somewhere, and suddenly you're thinking it through. The relief is delay without saying no. The cost is that the habit becomes a debate you have to win, and debates manufacture exceptions. Other versions are everywhere. The app icon, the charger by the bed, the remote in reach, the schedule that traps lunch. Here's the mechanism, in plain language. When cues are constant and friction is low, your environment makes the first decision for you. Willpower turns into a daily negotiation. Negotiation sounds responsible. It also creates loopholes, because every negotiation produces at least one "not today." That's why you reach for explanation. You pep talk yourself. You rehearse consequences. You build a moral argument. It sounds like leadership, but it turns the moment into a courtroom where the cue is always present as evidence. And the cue doesn't get tired. This is where the identity gap shows up. You want to be a disciplined person, so you try to prove it in the hardest moment. Designing conditions feels like cheating, because it looks like you needed help. So you keep the environment the same. Then you demand a higher standard from your mind. Every win becomes proof, and that proof keeps an open tab running. One more debate tomorrow. So here's the second question that matters. Why does explaining and motivating yourself more create more loopholes instead of more follow-through? Is less than has honed. 2 is greater than. Stop calling this a discipline problem. Call it a negotiation problem. Discipline, the way you're using it, is effort inside a trap. You wait until the cue is loud, then you try to overpower it. That's the latest possible moment to intervene. Real discipline is removing the need to negotiate by changing what the environment makes easy. Same intention. Different room. Phone on the nightstand, and you touch it without thinking. Phone across the room, and you fall asleep before you remember it. Nothing about your character changed. The first move changed. You can look calm on the outside and still be rigid. "I'm fine" becomes the cover for how much control you need to feel safe. You keep saying discipline is the answer while dismissing the cues that keep dragging you into a fight. So if discipline isn't the lever, what small environmental move flips the decision before it becomes a debate? This is where it compounds, quietly. Each broken promise makes the next promise feel less credible. So you replace trust with stricter rules. Then the day becomes management. More decision fatigue. More exceptions. More restarts. More energy spent controlling yourself instead of doing the habit. You try motivation spikes. They work until the first tired day, because the cue system stayed stable. You try tracking apps. They become another place to argue with yourself about what counts. You try stricter rules. Pressure goes up, and rebound gets easier when the cue is still right there. You try self-criticism. Avoidance goes up, because every attempt now comes with a threat. All of those fixes share the same flaw. They keep the moment as a negotiation, and negotiations manufacture exceptions. That's why more explaining fails. Reasoning with yourself invites a courtroom. What replaces it is fewer arguments available, because the desired action becomes the default path and the undesired action becomes slightly harder. You can't out-discipline a stable cue system indefinitely. If the environment keeps making the first move, you'll keep spending your best energy just to get back to neutral. 1. When you feel the pull, pause for 10 seconds. Say, "This is an environment problem. What cue is making the first decision?" 2. Identify the cue you're reacting to. Name it in plain words. 3. Change one piece of friction right now. Make the habit easier to start, or make the distraction take 2 extra moves. Do it at the next decision today. Not tonight. Not Monday. The next time the cue shows up, give yourself 1 minute to change one thing. This is why trying harder backfires over time. It keeps the environment in charge, and it keeps negotiation alive. And the lever you were looking for isn't more discipline in the moment. It's the small environmental change that flips the decision before the debate starts. It works because cues trigger defaults, and friction decides which default wins. You're not proving discipline. You're removing the need to prove it. Your environment makes the first decision, then you call it willpower. What cue are you still tolerating that keeps forcing you into a daily negotiation?